of the day, and certainly I know Greg has a vested interest in this category with a plethora of junior crews out racing today at the Henley Women's Regatta as headmaster of Shiplake College. So I'm sure he'll have an interest in this race with the crews on the state boats ready to go under starters orders. We've got Latimer Upper School. Generally they're girls' scull, so it'll be interesting to see how they perform in the bigger boats. So Latimer Upper School on the Berkshire station and Yarm School on the Buck station. Yarm, every now and again they produce a crew of real quality, but I think they've struggled over the past few years to match the heady heights that they achieved sort of a couple of years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago now, with some of their junior quads. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top on this. Where we've got only one junior 8s heat this morning, and it's between these two crews. So they've left the start clean starts from both crews. Of course, let's hope the Coxes have got a little bit of experience of racing down the Henley course, because we don't want to see any early crashes. But it looks like both crews staying their line pretty well in these opening strokes. I have to say, just looking at the Yarm crew, that's quite impressive. That's well in together. I mean, there's an interesting lean back, some interesting technique through the middle of the boat. I might not name names, but the catches look to be in together. I think there's a bit of a caterpillar effect going on now, centipede effect. But I think as they leave Temple Island, in the shelter of Temple Island, I think it might be Yarm with the early advantage, Greg?
Well, they went off like an absolute whippet, didn't they? It was amazing, up at about 42, 44 strokes per minute. They're just beginning to settle now. But the danger of starting at a rate like that is, as you were saying, you don't get the blades in the water at the same time and actually begin to put brakes on the boat. But that wasn't the case with Yarm. Absolutely terrific start, and I think that probably took Latimer a bit by surprise. Now, Latimer had a fantastic national schools regatta, all sorts of junior crews from them winning medals. But this is obviously the senior guilds. Now they've done really well, haven't they, in the quad sculls at the Royal Regatta as well. So they've got a really good background here, and they've now come back. They do, I have to say, they do look the taller crew and the stronger crew. And after that lightning start by Yarm, Latimer have just taken a breath and they said, okay, we just need to settle down here. We need to get the blade in and row long, and we'll get past them. And this is what's happened now. They're rowing much the longer of the two crews, and as they've settled down, they're definitely the more powerful, Tom.
Latimer certainly looked to have consolidated their early start. I think they struggled a little bit off the start. It looks like they are out to about 3/4 of the length now, with about 600 metres rown. So, I mean, I suppose in an 8, things can change very, very easily. It's a much easier boat to get momentum up than a single scull, of course. You need a big call from the Cox or something special to happen in the middle of the boat, and you can claw back 3/4 of the length deficit. It's not unassailable for Yarm just yet, but I have to say, looking at the technique from both crews, I think it does look like Latimer are retaining their form a little better here. So I would be surprised if Yarm were to come back from here. Obviously, Latimer, as you say, Greg, with lots of pedigree in junior women's rowing, having won at Henley Royal Regatta in 2013. In the Diamond Jubilee Challenge Cup in only the second year of its staging. So obviously loads of pedigree and great coaching system down at Latimer. And I think as they come down towards us here, stationed at around perhaps just gone halfway, I think it is Latimer Upper School. Stretched out, and I think they've got clear water now.
But it's terrific, that Yarm have come and put an 8 in here, because Yarm, as you were saying about sculling, they were known, or are known, as a sculling school. So it's great that they've brought this 8 down. And that start was just terrific. They must, even if they don't go on to win this race, they should be really pleased at the way they started. So it's great to see. But it is definitely Latimer, as you can see, that are looking the stronger.
Yeah, clear water here, I think, for Latimer. And actually, I think they probably nipped it down a couple of pips. I think they're fairly relaxed as they come past us here. I think there was a little call from the Cox. With about 500 metres left to row, just chill out. Don't worry about it too much. I think we're up. We're ready to make a move if necessary, but I think they're going to be okay. So I think...
Well, they want to conserve the energy because these two crews are the only ones that are having to qualify for the next round.
Yeah.
So they will really want to be relaxed. And in some ways, it'll be good for them, to have had that race, just to get the butterflies out of the system. But when the semis come out, that'll be when they'll be blasting out, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Latimer conserving a bit of energy. So I think we'll head back to the start for our first elite side-by-side race of the day. Just waiting. I think they're off the start there in the elite lightweight single sculls with Edinburgh University Robin Hart-Winks on the Berkshire Station, and Glasgow University, MacDonald on the Buck Station. Obviously, I spoke a little bit about Robin earlier in the day. A real talent from Edinburgh University, had a fantastic season, won a multitude of medals at various events through the year. I think she'll be looking to add to her pretty impressive silverware collection here at the Henley Women's Regatta, but I wouldn't rule out the sculler from Glasgow. I have to say she's a handy sculler. She's raced for Scotland before at the Commonwealth Regatta in the lightweight quad and was a spare for the under-23 GB team. And we've got, look at that, some fantastic drone shots here. So the drone is in action for the first time this morning. Of course, made famous last year at the Henley Royal and now being employed to good use at the Henley Women's Regatta. Fantastic shots, look at that. Really helps us to see a good perspective of the course. And at the moment it is, I think, just Robin from Edinburgh with a slight advantage over her national colleague, Emma MacDonald from Glasgow University.
Yeah, just about half a length up at the moment. That's a fantastic shot of how well that these ladies are steering. It's not as easy as these two are making it look, by the way. If you've ever sat in one of these thin boats, they're making it look very easy. It is not when you're pulling and pushing as hard as these girls are. But you're right, it's Hartwinks that is looking more comfortable now when they've settled. You can just see their coaches cycling alongside. They won't be able to shout too much, otherwise they'll be in danger of getting the crews disqualified. But it's always comforting for the coach, I have to say, rather than the sculler. Sculler will be completely focused on what they're doing. And you see that a great photo there of Hart Winks, as she's now, about a length and a half ahead. She's taken a few deep breaths and she's about, 2 lengths ahead now, Tom.
Yeah, a bit of a national battle. Both girls have represented Scotland before, so real domestic battle between these two. And I'm sure they'll have come across each other on the domestic sculling scene before. But I think you're right, Greg. You called that just about perfectly. It's about 2 lengths to the sculler from Edinburgh. Again, some mesmeric drone shots. Really does paint the picture for you here at the Henley Women's Regatta. And, you know, it almost doesn't need commentary to go with it. You can see exactly what's happening, and it's a fantastic shot. And if you are anywhere near the course today, come down and support these girls. It is the top end, the creme de la creme of women's rowing here on the Henley course. And it's free for all to watch, for all to listen to. And Robin Hart-Winks and Emma MacDonald racing down the Henley course. And I think Robin is settling into the rhythm slightly better, more than settling. She's consolidating on her lead, and I think she's going to probably continue to scull away from Emma. What do you think, Greg?
Yeah, it's a terrific sight, and we're so lucky to be living close to Henley. I know you don't so much, Tom, but I know you spend a lot of time here. But it's a real joy, because these are world-class events that have been put on, and the organisation too is absolutely fantastic. And you get a great shot there of the tents on the left-hand side there. So just approach the enclosures, and you can probably hear through the microphone the shouts from family, coaches, friends, for both scullers, both doing a terrific job as they come here to the enclosures. But it's definitely Hart-Winks who's got this race well under control.
Yeah, and I think actually it's a shame these two came up against each other in the early stages, because they probably are two of the favourites for the event. But I think that one would be wrapped up by Robin Hart-Winks, so we'll head back to the start for the second heat of the elite lightweight single sculls, or maybe even the semi-final. I think I might have got that wrong. But in any case, it is the second race of the elite lightweight single sculls with Row LA Shaw. That's Deborah Shaw, director of the Row LA programme, come across from America on the Berkshire Station. And Wallingford Rowing Club, obviously an absolute specialist when it comes to women's lightweight rowing. They've produced untold amounts of athletes for the GB rowing team, and perhaps another one in the making here with Minna Jones-Walters on the Buck Station. So it'll be interesting to see from these two athletes who comes out on top, but fantastic to see Row LA, Deborah Shaw, come across from the USA to race at this event. It shows the draw and the attraction of racing on the Henley course from athletes from all over the world. Really impressive stuff, and it would be interesting to see. I'm not sure what's happening at the start there. Both crews just look quite relaxed, not really come to attention yet, sitting at about half slide, both scullers. But Greg, what do you reckon about, what are your thoughts on this race? Obviously it's great to see someone from the USA come across and pit themselves against the best that Britain has to offer. Well,
you don't really come all this way if you don't think you're going to get through a few rounds, do you? So I'm assuming that Shaw is, although I don't know anything about her at all, but I'm assuming that she'll be pretty handy. We've just gone back to the previous race, and that is Hart-Winks well ahead now of her Glasgow colleague, looking very, very comfortable. And I think you're right, Tom. She's going to be a handful as we get into the later stages. That's for sure.
Yeah, completely. I think they're still waiting at the start for the next race to get underway. So we just watched the finishing shots here of that last heat of the elite lightweight single sculls, and it is going to be the sculler from Edinburgh University, Robin Hartwinks, of course, one of the probably most decorated athletes on the student circuit today. She won, I think, lightweight pairs and the lightweight doubles at the Bucks Regatta. She also won the women's senior lightweight category at the World Indoor Rowing Championship. So not just a one-trick pony, she's good on the ergo too, which of course is such an important facet of contemporary rowing. You have to be strong on the land as well as on the water if you want to compete at the highest level. And Robin is demonstrating that well here. She comes down towards the finish. She'll probably have laid off a little bit. She won't be sculling at maximum intensity here. I think she knows she's got this one in the bag, barring some sort of disaster. And she's just about to cross the line here. And I think she's sewn that one up. Pretty impressive sculling there, Greg. What do you think?
Absolutely terrific. Actually, by both scullers, but she's got the power that does Hartwinks. And you can just see how tiring single sculling is as the Glasgow sculler just rocks over onto her knees. And of course, it's even worse, isn't it, when you've not won? You feel that much more tired. But that was a pretty comprehensive win by the Edinburgh sculler.
So I think we'll head back to the start to see what's going on up there with the semi-final of the elite lightweight single sculls. Still on the state boats here. Not sure quite what's going on. If they're waiting for some umpires' orders, perhaps. There is an 8-minute interval between these two races. That probably is due to it. That probably is the reason we're waiting a little bit. But just to give you a bit of background on these two crews, Row LA. It's a specialist program in Los Angeles in America designed to support young women to row and achieve academic excellence at the same time. So a really useful initiative. And it's fantastic to see Deborah Shaw, the director of that program, coming all the way over to beautiful Henley to pit her wits against the best that Britain has to offer. And at the moment, that is Minna Jones-Walters from Wallingford Rowing Club. She's been around the lightweight rowing scene for a few years now. She was a spare for the 2014 Commonwealth Rowing Championships. And she actually is an old hand at this event. This regatta. She raced in the final of the elite lightweight double at Henley Women's Regatta last year. So she's got a bit of pedigree about her, and they've just left the start here. Clean from both crews. It's always interesting to watch the sculling style. Oh, bit of a problem there for the sculler from Wallingford. Caught a bit of a crab there. I think a look over from Deborah Shaw. I think she knew what had happened, and interesting steering from both crews. They've converged into the middle. Minna Jones-Walters is going to have to recover that quickly and get back on it if she wants to stand a chance in this race. But she does seem to have, and she actually is leading here as they come down past Temple Island, Greg.
That's amazing, really, because she was nearly in the water. There was a big mistake. When she started, it was unbelievably aggressive, and I thought that she would get, after 5 strokes, she'd be ahead. But because it was so aggressive, she just didn't get the balance right with the 2 blades, and she really did nearly flip in. But now she's got control. Just coming to the end of the island there, she's got a length now and has settled down into a very comfortable rhythm. She's now got the boons there to help guide her in terms of steering. She knows that she wants to be about 2 meters away from that left-hand boon, and that's what she'll be looking for all the way to the finish now. So she's really looking strong and pulling away from Shaw of Row LA. That sounds like a terrific program that they've started here, and to be able to come to the home of World Rowing Henley when you're in a program like that is just terrific. But I'm afraid, even from here, from the drone, it looks like Jones-Walters has really got control of this race. The steering from the American lady is not quite as tight as it is from the sculler who's just down the road really at Wallingford. Have you rowed on that stretch yet, Tom? It's just a beautiful stretch that Wallingford have. Oxford Brooks are there as well. Lovely wide bit of the Thames there. And there's a great shot of a really top-class sculler in action there. Just leaning back, not too far, but making the abs work, just making sure that she gets a really good finish in. Make sure that the blade stays square in the water until it comes out. If you watch a lot of scullers, when they lean back, their blades start to feather and actually put a brake on the boat. but not the Wallingford sculler. She's nice and square at the finish and making every inch of that blade work for her. And just terrific, as we see from the drones here. She's really got this race well under control, I would say. Brilliant steering, as you can see. She hasn't deviated at all. And look at that as we look back down the course. Isn't that just the most beautiful place that you will have seen today? That's for sure. And the Temple Island there, absolutely fantastic. No wonder so many people want to come to watch the Henley Royal Regatta, and now this terrific event, which is now world famous, the women's Henley Women's Regatta. Just terrific.
Yeah, front row seats here for us. It's a privilege to watch some of this racing, especially with the drone. It gives you such a phenomenal perspective on the racing, and it helps us here in the commentary box to tell the margins between the crews. You can't tell you how useful it is, because some of these side-by-side shots, especially as they approach us, are a little difficult to truly tell how much margin there is between the crews. But I can say, looking at the sculling style of the Wallingford sculler, Minna Jones-Walters, she is well in control of this race, and I think she knows it too. Going out to try and conserve a bit of energy now. Nice, relaxed style, probably striking around 26, 27 strokes a minute, taking the rate right down, conserving maximum energy for the latter rounds in this race. I think the Row LA, although she's made the trip and honourably made the trip, it's a shame that I think she will be going home, unlikely to progress now. I think Minna Jones-Walters has this race thoroughly under control, and you have to applaud the Wallingford sculler for her recovery. Of course, I thought when I had a brief glance over there and saw her catch that crab, I thought she was in, she was done for. Yeah. But she has really impressively hauled herself back into this race, and now is it completely under control.
And they've just gone past again, I keep mentioning it because it's so beautiful, Fawley Court. And I think for the first time, Tom, Fawley Court are putting together some hospitality packages for the Henley Royal Regatta. What a terrific place that would be to watch the racing from. So if you are interested in that, do go on to the Fawley Court's website, which I think is fawleycourt.com, sales@fawleycourt.com. Have a look at that. It should be a terrific place to watch the racing from.
And just on the subject of plugging things online, if you do want to see the results of today's racing, due to our packaging, we can't always give the results. So